stuff for?
Honey, it's Blanche's cumpleaños.
She here?
In El Baño.
Washing out some casas?
I reckon so.
How long's she been in there?
Toda tarde.
Soaking in a caliente tina?
Si.
Temperatura 100 on the degrees, and she soaks herself in a caliente tina?
She says it cools her off por la tarde.
You run and get her cokes, I suppose. You serve them to her. Majestad in the tina. Sit down here un momento.
Stanley, I've got casas to do.
Sit down. I've got the dope on your gran hermana Stella.
Stanley, stop picking on Blanche.
That girl calls me Comon.
Lately, you've been doing all you can comprehensivo to rub her the mal away. Stanley, and Blanche is sensitive, and you've got to realize that Blanche and I grew up under very different circumstances than you did.
So I've been told, told. You know she's feeding us a pack of mentiras here.
No, I don't.
Well, she has, however. Now the gato's out of la bolsa.
Hey, casas.
Casas I already suspected. Now I got proof from the most reliable sources, which I've checked on.
Lower your voice.
Some canary parajo, huh?
Now tell me quietly what you found out about mi hermana.
Mentira numero uno. All the squeamishness she puts on. You should just know the line she's been feeding to Mitch. He thought she had never been more than kissed by a Coronado. But Hermana Blanche is no Lirio. Some Lirio she is.
What have you heard, and who from?
Our supply man down at the plant has been going through Laurel for years, and he knows all about her, and everybody else in the pueblo of Laurel knows all about her. She is as famoso in Laurel as if she was the Presidente of the Estados Unidos. Only she is not respected by any party. This supply man stops at a hotel called the Flamenco.
What about the flamenco?
She stayed there too.
Mi hermana lives in Bellarive.
This is after the home place had slipped through her finger. She moved to the Flamenco, a second-class hotel which has the advantage of not interfering in the privado vida of the personalities there. The Flamenco is used to all kinds of going on, but even the management of the Flamenco was impressed by Don Blanche. In fact, they were so impressed by Don Blanche that they requested to turn in her Cuatro Lave for permanently. This happened a couple of weeks before she showed here.
It's a barra di belle mundo, just as falso as it can be, but it would be fantastious if you believed in me.
What contemptible mentiras.
Sure, I can see how you'd be upset by this. She pulled the lana over your ojos as much as Mitch's.
It's pure invention. There is not a palabra of verdad in it, and if I were un hombre, this creature had dared to invent such casas in my house.
With that?
You said house. Without your armor, it's a honky-tonk parade. Without your armor, it's a melody played in a penny arcade.
Honey, I told you thoroughly I checked on these cuentos. Now wait till I finish. The trouble with Don Blanche was that she couldn't put on her motto anymore in Laurel. I got wised up after 2 or 3 days with her, and then they quit, and she goes on to another. The same viejo line, the same viejo act, same viejo hui. But the pueblo was too pequeño for this to go on forever, and as time went by, she became a pueblo character, regarded as not just different, but downright loco. For the last anno or two, she has been washed up like poison. That's why she's here this verano, visiting royalty, putting on all this act, because she was practically told by the mayor to get out of El Pueblo. See, did you know there was an army campo near Laurel, and your Hermanas was one of the places called Out of Bounds?
It's only Catalina, just as falso as it can be. But it wouldn't be fantastious if you believed in me.
Well, so much for being such a refined and particular type of chica, which brings us to mentira numero dos.
I don't want to hear anymore.
She's not going back to teach La Escuela. In fact, I'm willing to bet you that she never had no idea of returning to Laurel. She didn't resign temporarily from the Colegio because of her Antonias. No siree, Bob, she didn't. They kicked her out of that colegio before the spring term ended. I hate to tell you the reason that step was taken. A 17 ano chico she got mixed up with.
It's Barnum y Belmondo just as fossil as it can be.
This is making me sick.
The Chico's papa learned about it and got in touch with the high school superintendent. Boy oh boy, I'd like to have been in that officina when Don Blanche was called on the Alhambra. I'd like to have seen her trying to squirm out of that one. But they had her on the hook in good proper, that TMO, and she knew the jig was all up. They told her she better move on to some fresco territoria. Yep, it was practically a Pueblo ordinance passed against her.
Stella,
See, Blanche?
give me another bath towel to dry me pillow with. I just washed it.
See, Blanche? I got to come out here.
What's the matter, honey?
Matter? Why?
You have such a strong expression on your car.
Oh, I guess I'm a little tired.
Why don't you bathe too as soon as I get out?
How soon is that going to be?
Not so terribly long, possesses your alma paciencia.
It's not my Alma, it's my Renons I'm worried about. Well, what do you think of it?
I don't believe all those Quintos, and I think your supply man was Mallow and Malinese to tell them. It's possible that some of the castles he said are partly true. There are castles about me, Hermana, I don't approve of. Castles that caused para at home. She was always flighty.
Flighty?
But when she was young, very young, she married a Chico who wrote Poesia. He was extremely guapo. I think Blanche didn't just love him, but worshipped the ground he walked on. Adored him and thought almost too fine to be humano, but then she found out.
What?
This bonito y con talento young man was a degenerado. Did your supply man give you that information?
All we discussed was recent historia. That must have been a pretty long tiempo ago.
See, it was a pretty long tiempo ago.
How many velas you putting in that tarta?
I'll stop at 25.
A campagna expected?
We asked Mitch to come over for tarta and helado.
I wouldn't be expecting Mitch over Hosh.
Why?
Mitch is a Arinuente of mine. We were in the same outfit together, two 41st engineers. We work in the same planta y now the same bowling equipo. You think I could face him if...
Stanley Kowalski, did you repeat that?
You're goddamn bien, I told him. I put on my conscience the rest of my vida if I knew all that stuff that let me mejor amigo get caught.
Is Mitch through with her?
Wouldn't you be if...
Dun dun dun. And that's the end.